Come on, my luck. We have to go. They're going to be there soon. This wagon is not going to drive itself. Okay, so it will. But that's beside the point. You need to come along.
Okay. Robert, it's okay. I'll be right there. I'm leaving this for, the listeners. They're all here. Anyways, hello, listeners. We'll be gone for a while. I don't know how long. At the moment, indefinitely. Or at least for the near future. But we'll be leaving this lovely little automaton here to present you with at least something to bide your time. So, for now, here goes. Come, sit by the fire and hear the tale of 5 steadfast adventurers as they explore the mysterious isles of Dakatur. Join us on the sword-casted adventures.
We made our way to the orphanage, and I spent some time exploring the grounds. While doing this, I noticed that there was a tiefling youth from an upper balcony who was watching us intently. When we went inside, I found this tiefling, and we had a conversation, where it became evident that he was not a fan of this headmaster. And furthermore, he offered a clue that the headmaster had a great interest in the basement. Well, we investigated and found that there was a secret door in the basement. We traveled through it, we found a tunnel, and then a statue. It was quite a statue. It was this blue color and very arcane. Upon investigation, I touched this statue and was given a vision. A horrifying one. I was on a mountain. It was cold. Ice encased me. There was a lunar eclipse, and as I'm looking at the lunar eclipse, a shadow falls across me. Eyes out of the shadow as I faded back into the room and into my own body. It was most unsettling. After that, my compatriots observed similar, not identical, but still ominous and menacing visions upon making contact with the statue. When we were done, the magic seemed to fade from the statue. I don't know what to think.
Elduin, thank you so much for that recap. So, as of last time, you stand here in front of this gigantic alien-like edifice, this blue quartz statue, all having visions of these events you can't exactly explain, though none of you know, as you have not had even time to talk. As you stand there, silence for just a moment, you notice the guard that had come down there with you, almost as though reacting to the kind of wave of force, or the feeling that pulsed through you all. She seems to walk away, lazily, as though she is paying no mind to anyone in the room. And that's when I want you to roll a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, shit.
First roll on the new die.
You all get +4
Sweet.
by being near my awesome presence.
Okay.
13 for Rain.
Okay.
8 for Ghrimtuk. Loud Scout got a 19.
Metolius? What'd you get?
22.
Okay. And Elduin?
A 9.
Okay.
Sweet.
Okay, so
Rolling bricks.
I have advantage for being charmed.
this is not a charm.
Okay, dokie.
But what this is the three of you who did not, specifically Rain, Ghrimtuk, and Elduin, I would like you to roll a d20 for me. Please. And then tell me what you get.
15 for Ghrimtuk.
That's good.
18 for Elduin.
19 for Rain.
I'm sorry that my awesome charisma failed you.
Well, that's fine.
I rolled like garbage, so.
Yeah, I also have, no wisdom, so.
mine's lacking.
Okay. Excellent. And you see Fane, the halfling priestess, kind of shake her head and look at you all and goes, What is that? What just happened?
Not entirely sure.
What sort of check would you like me to make to determine if I can
What
figure this out?
What did my roll for the wisdom saving throw do? I don't know yet. Cool. Got it.
The three of you who failed, which I'm not going to tell you the number that you need to hit to succeed. The three of you who failed will learn in time.
Okay, cool.
All right.
All right.
Wonderful.
So, but for the moment, I
That's
am
not
myself.
ominous at all.
Nope, not one bit.
You are absolutely under your own motivation, and you are in control of your person.
Great. Cool. That's what I need to know.
And seems that nothing has changed.
Cool.
All right.
I had a vision. That's what happened. I was given a message of some type. I don't know if it was necessarily a message from any type of a god or a creature who favors me at all.
She kind of looks at you and goes, a message? What kind of message could this abomination give you?
Was it a vision, Ghrimtuk?
The kind abominations give.
I also had a vision.
Same here.
I stood in a field surrounded by mountains, and this creature loomed large in the sky.
I too had a creature looming large.
She kind of...
Was there an eclipse?
Was there an eclipse?
There was.
There was an eclipse.
I will let you all know that there, in some form or fashion, an eclipse had something to do with all of yours visions.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure.
The actual eclipse may not have been known, but it seemed to have a very similar notation in each.
Got it.
Yeah, I don't remember mine. I don't remember the eclipse happening. Maybe I wasn't focused on that part of it.
All you saw
You
was...
were turning into a monster.
Well,
Yeah.
no, all he saw was just hordes of creatures and then himself as a monster.
Yeah.
Right.
I was amid a snowdrift on top of a mountain. It was very cold.
So, you're asking what you would need to roll to figure out what this was? Metolius?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to, I don't know. Do I feel like...
To figure out what happened,
or
what
like-
the creature is, what the...
No, more like what just happened with the presence.
Try like an
leaving
arcane
the
roll
room,
to find
and
out
why
what the hell it was.
why the guard is like stumbling off.
Sure. Roll a... I would say roll... You could roll an arcane check.
I'll take it.
Arcana.
12.
At times, visions can be given through objects, specifically by things like spells like scrying, or that kind of... Basically, connecting one's mind to another creature can give you visions, and using as a catalyst an object. Though you're not exactly positive where, what, or why this thing would do that, you can assume that it's something like that. The guard walking off, though, you're not positive.
Okay. So I can assume that we were potentially being looked upon as we looked upon it.
Or in some form or fashion talked to,
Okay.
interacted with. But again, it was kind of fuzzy, and
Right.
and you have seen other objects do that. You've even like seen like scrying stones before in your travels, where a person can look upon something.
I see. Metolius pipes up and says, "Perhaps this was used as sort of a font for divination. It is possible that we were also gazed upon as we gazed upon it, and our visions could be some form of communication."
Which begs a question of, were we supposed to see those visions, or was that destined for another and we happened upon them?
I find it strange that there are 5 of us in the room. We each had a vision. Well, sorry, there's more than 5 of us in the room. But,
As you say that, she kind of like,
No.
there was 7 of us
That's
altogether.
the thing. There's 7 of us in the room.
People to
We
6
all
and a
5
half,
had
if you want to be a
What, are
jerk
you
about
mad,
it.
Ghrimtuk?
And then, once we were done, the presence left. Which means to me that us 5 were meant to experience this. Otherwise, we would still feel the cold, we would still feel the ominous feeling, and I would be willing to bet that if the cleric touches it, likely nothing would happen, because as we do now, it's no longer emanating that same cold.
Do you touch it again?
Yeah.
Nothing happens.
Yeah.
Just
I
checking.
was like, wait a minute.
Your
wait a
brain
minute.
explodes.
The
So
room starts trembling. The
just
ceiling
continually touching
collapses.
it.
So while this conversation's going on, is the guard still walking away?
The guard has left the room. You hear, actually, by this point, you hear the sound of the creaking stairs going upstairs.
Ghrimtuk is
Slowly.
leaving too. He doesn't want anything to do with this room anymore.
Sure.
He's just gonna kind of shove his way out. Like, I need some fresh air.
Okay.
I
So,
think we need to get Salk here to see this.
Agreed.
so as that happens, Fane kind of chimes in. It's like, though I appreciate the necessity for the captain to see this, I think we need to get the children out of here. I don't think they should be in some place that has been tainted by whatever this creature is.
Ghrimtuk, do you think you could help?
Yes, absolutely. As they say, leaving the room because he's just super happy to leave the room.
Yeah. Rain's probably not far behind Ghrimtuk.
Okay. Word. So, as you two leave the room, does anyone else do anything before you leave? Talk about anything? Or you just all leave? Because Fane is close behind Ghrimtuk and Rain, who have already left.
No.
No,
Just walk
I think
out
we
and
should
muse about
also
it.
leave. What say you, Loud Scout?
Loud Scott shakes his head.
I want Salk to see this, but I also want to. I feel like we should destroy it afterward.
So,
And then
you now hear,
walk
as
upstairs.
as the three of you...
Both Ghrimtuk and Rain would have been like, it's expensive. We're already gone.
As,
Yeah, I don't know if it comes to that. Yeah, never mind.
as Ghrimtuk and Rain and Fane start walking up the stairs, you actually hear the floorboards creak, and it seems that the guard just leaves. Walks out of the room, walks out of the house. You actually hear muffled conversation. You can pick up a few words as you get higher up the stairs, like, wait, where are you? You can't just...
Ghrimtuk is gonna follow her.
Okay.
He wants out of the house anyways,
Okay.
so I'm gonna go try and catch up to her.
Trying to catch up to her?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You know, she's walking slowly. I was going to ask you to roll an athletics check, but unnecessary. You push past the other guard who's like, what happened? What went on down
I'm
there?
not saying anything to him either. I'm just following the guard, and I'm not even touching the guard. I'm just walking behind him.
You see him look around, getting even more frazzled now. It's like, why is no one talking to me? And Fane kind of walks up to him and goes, it's okay. Right now, we have to get the children to the church. They'll be safe there. I'll watch them there. This is not a place for the children. He goes, what do you mean this isn't a place? I don't have time to discuss this. Round them up. Walk them to my church, please. And he kind of looks at her,
This lady.
and he kind of
She
takes a
seems
second,
shit.
and you see almost, as you all kind of finally make it up the stairs, Ghrimtuk far gone, but Rain, Loud Scout, Metolius, as this
So
conversation...
actually, as we're leaving
I
the
apologize.
basement, no, Loud Scout just wants to kind of like stay behind, and he's gonna give like one last like kind of longing like
Sure.
stare at this thing, just like thinking to himself, what the fuck is going on?
Sure. Absolutely.
And then if nobody says anything after a few seconds, he'll leave on his own.
Okay. So as the other three, not Loud Scout by this point because you're hanging back for a second, and Ghrimtuk, you've already left. You notice between the two of them, Fane and the male guard, there seems to be Argon. There seems to be familiarity to them, as though he might have maybe been one of her charges at one point. There just seems the motherly instinct seems to like emanate from her.
She moms him.
She definitely moms him.
Yeah.
If she could, she'd grab his earlobe.
Yeah.
She's way too short. She's way too short.
Yep.
So he just grabs a portion of his like trousers and just goes, gather the children. We will be leaving now. And he stops arguing, gathers the children. And after you do that, we'll go to Salk. You will go with them. You will explain what happened. And she looks back at you all and goes, please, to the captain. Tell him what you saw here. Tell him that the children are safe, but they are with me.
Seems prudent.
We will do that. I am curious about the behavior of Dadel, though.
I'm concerned about that myself, but right now, she's grown and she can take care of herself. And your companion has run after her.
Yes.
He's of a mind to at least maybe talk to her, correct?
I don't know.
Well,
Have you ever heard Ghrimtuk talk? I mean, he is a furious warrior, and his gusto is unrivaled. But
okay, before
the man is not the best with words.
Fine.
But I digress. We should leave.
He can speak common. He'll figure it out. Now, let us go. And she helps Argon walk around and gather the children, and I'm guessing you leave before they are done.
Yes, I am following Ghrimtuk.
So, by this point, the four of you leave behind. Ghrimtuk, you've already gotten a good distance, and you catch up with Dadel. She's probably right down the merchant's way, with all the shops, as well as the end which hits the Howling Stag at the bar, and she just seems to be walking.
Do I notice anything about her breathing or anything are her eyes focusing on any one thing, or is it just straight ahead glazed?
So you're not grabbing her shoulder, you're instead walking around in front of her?
I am straight up just keeping pace with her and walking with her.
Oddly, her breath seems very rhythmic, natural, just one after another, after another, after another, and then her steps almost match as her breath goes, just one after another, forward moving, never stopping, and her eyes almost completely glazed over. Not physically, but you see just nothing focused. Somewhere she's going to something.
Ghrimtuk is he wants to see where he imagines she is compelled to go.
Okay.
Because she's going somewhere with a purpose, and Ghrimtuk doesn't want to do anything to wake her from sleepwalking.
She definitely doesn't seem to notice you in the slightest at all.
He's just keeping pace and just walking quiet.
At one point, you see her, you see a group of just shoppers and townsfolk kind of walking past, and she just not bowls them over because she's walking slowly, but just pushes straight through them without any conscience of doing so. And you see one of them kind of get taken aback and start to look up at her, noticing she's a town guard and not saying anything, but obviously surprised that she would just push through them.
Ghrimtuk would just lay his hand on them just to divert any conversation from going her way, and just not unkindly.
Sure, no, I get what you mean.
We have somewhere to be.
Yeah.
Not saying a word.
All three of the kind of villagers look at you and, in their own turn, kind of, okay.
While this is happening,
I will say by this point, after post villagers, you guys have all probably caught up, or at least close to it. You see Ghrimtuk and Dadel about probably 10, 15 feet ahead of you.
Oh, okay.
Do I notice them closing
they're
ground
going
on
the same
us?
direction.
Or do I hear them running after us at all?
I wouldn't say they'd have to run after you.
Okay.
It's not that far away.
She's walking slowly.
I imagine if I do see them, I want a motion for them to just the one finger over the lips, just quiet.
So, do you want to do something before you get that close, Elduin?
Well, I was gonna say I was gonna send Teak to follow them, but
no, I mean
we're already there following them.
Sure. I would say you were able to catch up pretty quickly. You never lost them.
Never lost sight. Okay.
So yeah, she continues to walk forward. And is anyone going to do anything? Or are you all quietly following behind?
Let's go. Let's roll an Arcana check.
Okay.
That's a great idea. Elduin's gonna do that too.
Sure.
That's a 20, not nat. For Loud Scout.
Something good for Elduin.
Tullius is going to take a page from Ghrimtuk. He's going to trust his battle bro.
Okay.
24 for Elduin.
I love those rolls, but Nothing seems... This does not seem to be a magic effect.
Okay.
But also, think about it like this. That's what you both notice, that this doesn't seem to be magical. This doesn't seem to be charmed or dominated or anything. This is just... something is happening to her, and you cannot tell what it is.
I'm going to turn to Ladscout and be like, did you get any whiff of magic? I did not.
Ladscout shakes his head no.
Okay. Turn to Metolius and Rain and be like, it appears that whatever she's doing it without a magical influence.
Ghrimtuk turns around, one finger over his lips again.
Well, I imagined I was far enough back that it wouldn't be like
For
super
some reason, I thought
loud.
you guys caught up.
I'm trailing, but
we're trailing
from a
Yeah.
distance.
like 15 feet behind you.
Okay, good.
And so, after a few more minutes, you notice she stops. And you seem to be more in the area that's residential houses. And she turns down an alleyway and walks about 20 more feet to a closed door at the end of the alley. And you see her pull out a small ring of keys, unlock it.
Right there with her.
Yeah, right behind her. And she
We're
opens...
like, 5 feet
Sure.
behind them.
You're right down the alleyway as you see Ghrimtuk right behind this woman. She opens the door. She walks in, leaving the door ajar and the keys in the door.
Takes the keys, Ghrimtuk
Okay.
pockets them, and
Sure.
goes after her.
You now have a set of 4 keys. You only know that one of them goes to this house, not knowing if this is hers or not.
Okay.
We weren't in this area before.
No, this is just down one of the alley,
Okay.
like offshoot of the merchants, like
Got it.
alley. But it seems to be off the beaten path.
It's
It is
far
not.
from the courthouse. and
It
all
is.
that. Okay.
It's more residential.
Okay.
As you follow her in, you see Ghrimtuk and her walk into the house. Ghrimtuk, you notice a very simple house.
This looks like it's just a normal house.
Just a basic, simple living. There seems to be like a hearth, a table, a basin. Your general fare for when it comes to kitchen type area. A few smoked fish hanging from the wall, bits of vegetables and fruits, and a few breads. And then she leaves from that room into what seems to be a den or living room.
I want to interrupt and say Ghrimtuk's primary concern after witnessing that vision, because he doesn't know who else it affected or who saw what. His primary concern right now is to be on the lookout or alert for anything that Dado could be using to hurt herself.
Sure, absolutely.
So like sharps, things like that.
Nothing has yet come into her hands. She
That's
hasn't. She's walked with a slight swing to her arms, but nothing exaggerated. Not as though she's moving.
That's fine. I'm just saying, like, he's like, if she grabs for a kitchen knife, he's grabbing for her wrist.
Absolutely, that's fine.
Okay. Sorry, go on.
No. And she walks into the den, and this is a 2-story. You see a set of stairs at the back, and she seems to turn up them, and without missing a step, just continues forward. You all, I believe now, unless you decide not to follow her into the house, you would have made it into the kitchen, as you are about 15 feet behind.
On the threshold, I'm going to turn to Metolius and say, perhaps we should let Salk know what has transpired.
I agree, but I am really curious about what's going on with Dadel.
I am as well, I admit.
So
I would like to enter.
Okay, just to the kitchen area.
Quietly cast detect magic.
Okay,
as we move through the house.
sure.
And my shield eye lights up and
Yep.
stuff. And yeah, that's it.
On the first sweep, nothing seems to pop out magical.
That's fine. I didn't expect anything. But
No, I know.
We got 10 minutes of walking around.
I'm just
time.
letting you know what you see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, like, as we're entering the house, Rain's gonna kind of, like, trail back a little bit and, like, kind of take a better look at the surroundings. Like, if there's anything weird,
Good
like...
idea.
Sure.
Case the joint.
Perception,
Yeah,
please.
exactly.
Go
Case that
Scouts.
joint.
I wonder where she
14.
learned how to do that.
14?
Perception, you said, right?
It
Not
seems
investigation?
not investigation.
Okay, so 14.
Seems to be a normal house. Nothing seems to be really jumping out at you.
Okay.
I mean, it seems to be nicer than what you would expect some of the common folk you've seen living in, but a town guard is paid well.
Okay.
And As far as you can tell, it's her house with the familiarity of her gate.
Mm-hmm.
And she hasn't like bumped into anything. She hasn't moved anything. You see a few. The most you would see is in the den. You see a few books upon a small shelf, and just another kind of fireplace with a nice styled chair, a couple chairs.
Okay. And like at least from where I am, it looks like normal books, not like super old or like.
Yeah, normal books.
Okay.
Nothing super out of place from what you see. Going back. Loud Scout, did you want to do anything?
When we walk in, Loud Scouts wants to go and just follow them right up the stairs, trying to be as quiet as possible.
So Loud Scout follows behind. Do you want to roll stealth, or are you just walking?
I'm just like trying to not make enough noise to like interrupt what she's doing.
Okay, sounds good. So she continues up the stairs, making it to the top landing, which seems to be almost like a loft bedroom. It doesn't seem that there are multiple rooms. It just seems to be one solid attic space that she has created into a bedroom. And as you do, you see what looks like a decently sized bed. And then a few things like a wardrobe that holds what you can guess is clothing, a dresser of some kind that also feels like it holds some personal effects, a small table next to her bed, and then a small rocking chair with a few bits of... you notice that she's very into knitting, and that's kind of her hobby.
Knitting?
Yeah. She kind of sits up in her rocking chair that stares out a window across this like nicely open path, and she would on a normal day sit there and knit.
Okay.
But instead, the final thing you see is almost like a chest in front of her bed.
Mm-hmm.
And she stops at it as she walks up to it and stares forward. And without moving her head, you see her begin to remove her armor. Slowly. It takes her a few minutes. But one belt after another to take it off. And she does. And you see her basic tunic underneath. She removes her sword belt and her helmet. And effectively her like greaves and her gloves. And as she does, she opens this chest and begins to place it inside. Folded nicely what she can, and the actual armor itself fits pretty well, as though this was made for it.
So we probably all made it up there by now?
I would say by now. You see her put the last piece by the time she does. Who else? Is everyone going upstairs?
Oh, yeah.
I might not.
Okay, Rain is not.
I'm listening, though.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm like definitely listening for anything to happen, but like...
Okay, Rain is not. Eldon,
I think
are you?
I'm gonna more stay downstairs and watch the door.
Yeah, Elduin would come.
Okay. And Loud Scout, you're obviously running in right behind her, and then Metolius, you are probably following soon after Loud Scout. Correct?
I am also super curious about what is going on right now, so yes.
Once she is taken off her armor and gotten, not undressed by any means, but gotten into her kind of normal clothes, she seems to kind of get comfy. She puts on a small belt to keep up her trousers that she's wearing, and then she just walks over to her rocking chair and sits down, staring out blankly forward into the corner as though looking straight through any of you that are upstairs, and just begins to rock.
Just staring into the corner?
Yep, rock. Slowly. Intentionally, but slowly. She seems to put both hands on either side of the arms of the chair and just rocks.
So she's not looking out a window, she's just staring into the corner of her room?
Yep.
Okay. Is my detect magic picking up anything?
Nope.
Well, at that point, that's super weird. Ghrimtuk is gonna look around for a minute, sees that everybody else is here.
I could attempt to cure her of disease and poison.
I'd like to insight check to see if what state of mind she's in. It looks
So
like
wait, you did go upstairs then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I'm the only one who stayed downstairs.
Sorry about that. Okay, what state of mind? Insight check? Sure.
Insight check to see if she looks like she's suffering or if she.
Sure.
Perhaps she was cursed.
Mm-hmm. It's a really long roll. Not good.
Very teasing roll.
Very teasing roll. 7.
She doesn't seem to be It feels like she's almost blank. Like no emotion, no pain, no happiness, no anything, as though her body is set to breathe and rock.
Metolius, perhaps you could use some of your skills with your, with the healing and the god thing. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit preoccupied.
That's quite all right, friend. I will place my hand on... I will walk up very quietly.
Okay.
And I will crouch down.
Okay.
And I assume she appears catatonic still.
Unresponsive.
Yes. Sorry.
What did you want to do?
I'll just reach out and gently put my hand on her hand.
Okay. No response.
Alright, I will use lay on hands, and my hand glows with a silvery light. And I'll use 10 of it to cure poison or disease. Well, one for each. Yeah, so if she's affected by one poison and one disease, they will both be cured.
And does this work like a cure disease spell, specifically?
I guess so.
Effective.
It just says you can cure a poison or disease by spending 5 points.
Okay, I'll say it works similar to the spell.
Okay.
As you do, you see her eyes kind of focus very quickly, and she stares at you and looks around at where she is and kind of freaks out for a moment and goes, "What? Why am I?"
I totally did not expect that, Lord.
What is going on?
I didn't either.
I think Metolius would say that in game. I think he goes, "Well, I was not expecting that to work."
Why are you in my house? Why am I in my house?
Daedal.
Relax.
No, like a reassuring.
I know.
Patronizing?
Not a patronizing. I just like sit there with my hand on her hand still, and I say, "We were in the basement of the orphanage. We saw some kind of statue. We all touched it.
And she kind of like...
Not you.
She kind of like squints and like shakes her head and goes, I remember us being in the basement. Statue.
Let me tell you what happened.
Oh, okay. Go for it.
After we all touched it, there's some kind of force that left the statue, and as it left, you started to walk away, and you walked all the way here, and we were with you the whole time, and you didn't notice us, and you came here, and you sat down, and you started rocking.
We were concerned for your health. We thought, given the things that we saw, that you might hurt yourself.
And she kind of almost like just... She doesn't actually, but you see her almost start to hyperventilate until she goes,
"Lab Scout, let me see your bottle of rum."
He hands it out.
He's going to hand it to her and say, "You need a drink."
She grabs it without looking at you, pops the cork, and chugs heartily. Like...
She better make a Constitution saving throw.
It's just brandy. It's just brandy.
Sorry.
She's fine.
She gets a +4 from me.
She's fine.
Loud Scout drinks
it was a bottle. It wasn't my flask.
Oh, okay.
And she downs probably about a quarter of the bottle.
Okay.
And hands it back to you and goes, "Okay. First and foremost, thank you for following me to make sure I was okay. I appreciate that. Please tell Captain Salk that I will be taking the rest of the day off unless he absolutely needs me. I think I need to take a breath. I would like you all to leave my house now, please."
One moment. What do you remember from the time since
The last
you
thing I
left?
remember is walking down into the basement.
So you remember nothing from after until now?
Yes, that's... Yes.
Okay.
I don't remember getting... I remember seeing a wall open. I don't remember seeing whatever you said was down there. I don't remember turning around. I don't remember walking out. What about...
Check with the cleric. We promise this is not.
Did you see
What happened to Argon?
anything? Argon is with Lady Goodsong.
One moment. Elduin is going... I'm going to stand up and, grab Loud Scout and turn away and just be like, Loud Scout, do you think I could trigger her memory with an image? Do you think?
I think we should honor her wishes and leave her house. And Ghrimtuk with that
In saying that, she goes, yes, let's follow along with Mr. Tuck over there.
Mr. Tuck.
Mr. Tuck.
I would say once Rain
father's name.
heard that there was just calm talking happening
Sure.
upstairs, there wasn't anything massive about to happen, she would probably step outside to collect herself and get a breath of air and
Yeah.
Okay.
Ghrimtuk is leaving.
think
also.
about what just happened, because this
Okay.
is shit that's far beyond her.
You see her kind of, as you all begin to... Are you all leaving and following her
So
mission?
just me so far.
So far.
Oh, I follow, but before I depart, I just say, if you remember anything about your time or have strange dreams, don't hesitate to tell us.
Talk to the cleric. I say on the way down the stairs.
She looks at you and goes, the world went black. Not as though I saw the world going black. I don't remember anything.
That's fair.
How am I not armored? Where?
You took your armor off.
And she kind of looks at herself, and you see her kind of curl up for a moment and just rock mouth back and forth with a bit of just kind of whoa. She just goes, I don't understand. And she just kind of shakes her head.
I leave.
Loud Scout, what was your response to my question?
Sorry.
I just kind of looked at you, put my hands up, I don't know.
Okay. Elduin is before Metolius has fully left the room, he's going to turn back to her, and he's going to use prestidigitation to create a small illusion of the statue in my hand, and I'm going to look at her and say,
man.
Does this mean anything to you?
What is that?
Thank you. That's all. And I'm going to make the illusion disappear and walk out.
What
of the
did he
room.
show me? What?
That doesn't look like anything to me.
And she looks at, I guess Loud Scout would probably be the last. What was that?
It thing we see in basement.
She just she does that. She kind of gives a look of concern and terror all at the same time. And she just kind of sits back in her chair and goes, okay, thank you, Loud Scout. Please leave.
As Elduin and Metolius leave, I hold out my bottle of brandy to her one more time to see if she wants any more.
Can I keep this, please?
Loud Scout shakes his head and turns around to leave.
Oh,
I was gonna give it to her anyways.
nice.
Aw.
Thank
Sir
you.
Nevlin with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
Thank you, little one. I really appreciate it.
He's got a
He nods at her and turns around to follow them out.
And yeah, you just hear the sound of the chair squeaking as she kind of rocks for a moment. As you all kind of meet back out in front of the house on the alleyway.
Oh, Salk.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely.
Make it
No,
back.
Before that.
Okay.
What?
What was out of game? What is the old man, the guy from the orphanage's name?
Garabuvaz.
Garabuvaz.
Bouvaz. Hold on, guys. I'm gonna make sure and look around and make sure there's nobody else around and make sure we're not within earshot.
Roll a
of the
perception
house.
check. Well, you're certainly within earshot of a house.
I don't want to be with the 17. Perception? Yeah, 17.
Okay. No walk-bys seem to be happening. There are a few windows, mostly hers, but one or two on the opposite wall.
Okay.
You notice they're not open, but depending on how loud you're talking, someone could hear it.
Okay, I'm gonna try and motion for everybody to come somewhere that's quieter,
Huddle
or
up.
just, or at least if we whisper.
Sure,
we whisper.
yeah.
So I'm gonna have everybody huddle around and be like,
Huddle up.
"How much do any of you want to bet that these keys in my pocket can get us a private audience with Bouvaz before anybody else here knows what's going on?"
Oh, listeners, if you could only see Metolius's face.
I see no harm in us having some words with them before any of this happens. These people are rash people, and we don't have much time in this town.
I do not want to make an enemy of Salk. I think that he
already serves our enemy.
I don't know. I don't think if he knew that the Edderwines were untrustworthy, I don't know if he would stay with them. I'm not sure. He's a man of justice. He's a man of law.
It's not his integrity. I doubt. He seems like a just man. I just would like... This is going to be a situation where we're not going to have unfettered access to Buvaz at all. There will be a guard there. There will be people there. There will be ears there to listen to our conversation. We need information, and we need information without the prying eyes of these people. We need to know what that statue is.
What makes you think Buvaz will tell us anything anyway?
What makes you think I'll give him a choice?
Sploosh.
I think that if we stay barbarian sploosh, a blood sploosh,
best kind.
Yes.
The only kind.
Why not wait for justice to take its course? If justice is truly to be met out and his demise...
Here is my concern. These people serve the Edderwines. This statue may have something to do with them. What if they insist on calling in a higher authority? These townspeople have never seen anything like this before. They don't know.
That's why I want to destroy the statue.
No.
But I want Salk to see it.
What if they insist on, instead of anybody meeting with this person, to just call in the authorities, call in someone higher than them, handing him over and giving him away to someone else? We could have... This could be our only chance to have access to him, to talk to him, because if there's other eyes around, he doesn't have to tell us a thing. He knows who these people are.
Ghrimtuk,
He knows they're good people.
while locked doors are one thing, what's to say there aren't many guards where he is being held?
It is.
Takes a look at Rain. I have faith in our ability to get through.
I do
We
not
don't need
have,
to hurt anybody.
but I do not
I
have
hope
faith in
too.
our ability to have a conversation with him, completely out of earshot of anybody who might intercede.
I don't think we need... It is just... This is a recipe rife for disaster, friend.
I feel as if I've seen... Haven't we seen you put people to sleep before? Or am I tripping? I'm looking at you, Last
Me?
Scout. This is not a game.
I don't think I've ever put any.
He's never cast sleep.
No.
Nope.
Fuck, I was trying to think of something you've done to hold somebody. No, we did a hold person once. That's it. Never mind. Sorry. Well, shit.
Well, shit.
Grimtuk's losing this conversation.
I admire your gusto, Ghrimtuk, but I think in this case the risks outweigh the rewards.
Yeah. I'm there, right? You guys came outside?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, surprisingly, I agree. Like, I worry that if we did get caught in that situation, which I do firmly believe we could get away with it, but if we did get caught, it would just be handing us over to Cassandra.
But here's my issue. Metolius already let slip who we are. We are here, and eventually the Aggerwines will know that we're here. You told them our names.
So?
That would immediately let them know eventually that
Yeah, but
there's a trail that leads
I
us
think,
here.
Why I think Salk can be reasoned with.
yeah, and like I also think that by the time Cassandra hears our names, we'll be somewhere else, whereas if we get caught and we get reported to her, she'll know exactly where we are.
Exactly. The low profile I was speaking about earlier.
Yeah.
Fair.
I admire your gusto as well, friend, and I want to see justice served, but I don't think this is the way.
This time...
I don't think it's a bad idea to hold on to those keys in case we need them.
Oh, I'm not giving them back. At least not... Yeah, they got lost on the way here.
Yeah, we saw her leave them
Who
in the
knows
door.
where she put them?
Yeah.
I am more concerned about the mayor. I'd like to know where his loyalties lie.
Well, either way, time is of the essence.
I agree.
We must do something before that statue either disappears or...
Let us go speak with Salk. If that statue disappears, something very strong moved it.
Also, what's to make us believe that the other people in that room weren't affected?
What's to make us believe that any of us weren't affected?
I agree.
It's just
All
something
right.
we'll have to see what happens.
Fair enough.
We're dealing with something beyond our understanding, I feel.
Okay, we'll do it your way this time.
Okay. So you all decide to start to move towards the courthouse, the place where you first met Salk, the place where you were brought in front of a just judge, as far as you can tell. And the town guard, standing out front, see you, let you in. Another male and female, human of some obvious nature. Ruddy looks, no pointy ears,
Right.
no green skin.
You there. Guards, we wish to speak with Salk.
So he's inside. If
Good. Walks right in.
And you see him kind of like, you can't. And his second stops him and goes, "They're fine. You know they're fine. Salk's waiting for them anyways." And goes, "Well, fine, whatever. Go if you want."
Thanks for the privilege I didn't ask for. Ghrimtuk is having the weirdest day.
And yeah, you stroll in, go straight to the courthouse, or
Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
it is effectively the last place you saw Salk.
Is he there?
Well, you walk in to find... Basically, you find Salk and Argan talking. As it has been a long enough time now that Argan brought the children back to the church and had left to go tell Salk what had, at least as far as he knew, what had gone down.
If I recall correctly last time, it was becoming dusk and may possibly even be dark now.
It hasn't been that late, but it's definitely getting damn close to sunset.
Right, because we didn't want to go in the swamp.
Yeah, you actually see
At night.
Yes. Well, you actually see a few townsfolk, maybe ones under the city employees, start to light torches
Gotcha.
as you make your way there. So just about the time you make it into the courthouse, you see torchlight kind of flow through the window as the sunlight behind the trees start to fade.
Okay.
And Salk kind of sees you as you walk in and goes, there you all are. I'm getting interesting reports. What happened in that orphanage?
Show him, Eldwin.
This is in the bottom, in the basement of the orphanage, and I will apparate the illusion of the statue in my palm.
He kind of looks at it for a second and goes, what by the god's name is that?
Good question, but I can say that it is a statue, and that it does appear to have some magic about it.
Or it did.
Or at least it did.
You see him pull out this long, thin, it seems to be clay pipe, nicely carved and etched, and he kind of lights one end and takes a nice long drag, and it just a bit of smoke kind of filters up. And he goes, "You're telling me you found that in the basement?"
I mean, it's much bigger than that. It's considerably. Like, it's not that size.
I assumed.
Okay.
Thank you. And Argan kind of looks at you and just like puts a head in hands, face palms for a moment.
Master of detail. Ghrimtuk is.
You see Saul kind of look at you and goes, "I understand. It's large. It's down there, and you all saw it.
And it bewitched Daniel.
That is why she's not here."
She's taking the night off. Metolius actually brought her back to her senses. With the same power that he invoked. Not in the court. I don't know how your thing works. It's very... it's impressive.
I have many tools at my disposal.
Agreed.
I will say then I appreciate you helping my god. She is very good at her job, and I would like her to stay that way. But I am now very concerned that our captive down in the cells housed something that was able to, let's put a basic premise onto this, control the mind of my guard, lead her to wander.
Back to her home.
It gets worse. If one guesses, there was an altar in front of this.
An altar?
an
Actually, so you kind of point it out as you show him the image.
Yeah.
Like, you not only do the statue, but the altar as well.
Yeah, altar. And you see that groove there? As a experienced man yourself, I would imagine you could imagine what that is for.
He kind of looks at it, and you see his brow furrow as he takes another long drag, as though to kind of collect his thoughts, and he goes,
I feel it's safe to say we probably don't have to go looking for your children.
I hired you for a
Yes,
job.
we're still doing that.
You will go try to find.
We need to.
They are
do that
missing.
Skrilla.
They are. These children did exist, you know.
Do you know what that is? That is a blood groove. Do you think he was using his own blood?
It doesn't explain why.
Was it
he
wet?
took them
Was
into
it
the swamp.
stained? Did you see that? That would tell us.
It did appear to be used.
I understand used. I said stained, as though he had used it recently. These children went missing recently.
Would you like us to roll a check, or do we remember?
You would remember. It didn't look as though there was dried blood on it. Like, there is not. If there was, it was in the fine groove. It wasn't. It's not as though something you would expect the person utilizing it to clean it every time.
Got it.
So, it doesn't seem as though.
Not a very tidy cultist.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem as though it was used for any rituals recently.
Got it.
Okay, fair enough.
And he goes, if it wasn't stained, even with something that had dried days, weeks ago, then there's still a chance these children exist. And I need you to search for them.
Don't you worry, Salk. We are committed to that. I will not let the light of the world be extinguished by such dark acts.
He goes, I appreciate that. Now I feel as though I need to ask our guest a little bit more about what he knows. Maybe see if I can pull a little bit more information from him. I've had a lot of experience pulling information from ones who did not wish to give it to me.
I just slap Ghrimtuk on the back and I say, there you go, friend. Justice. I believe my friend Ghrimtuk would love to accompany you.
Pulls out his hand axe and just starts sharpening or testing the blade with his own thumb.
He kind of looks at you, and a moment of, like, brevity just passes over him. He kind of chuckles and goes, son, I don't use blades.
Oh, even better. Cracks his knuckles. I've got all night.
And he kind of looks at you and goes, if you'd like to follow, you can. I will take the lead on this one, though, if you would like to stay back and hear what he has to say.
I absolutely would.
If anyone else would like to, feel free. If not, your mission starts in the morning. Your housing at the inn and tavern is paid.
Well, excellent. Can we huddle up real quick?
Can you all huddle up?
Yeah,
Like in front of him?
Yeah, we're huddling up. Group huddle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of sits back and, he starts to make notes. And then you don't see it because it's behind his, like, stand, but you hear the sound of metal, multiple pieces of metal clang against each other as he seems to put this odd bag on the table.
Bag of tricks. I just say,
I say leave
should we have the
this
discussion
portion to me.
at the moment
Leave this. Oh, what discussion is that?
about?
No, wait until afterwards.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Allow me to go for this portion.
Oh,
I feel what would be best served for us is this. Do we really believe that he was doing this all on his own? There's more information in this town to be gathered. Does everything else seem surface level to you? Because I fail to believe that tiny little man all by himself dragged that statue down into that basement, or those kids walked out of town into the swamp with him unaided, just him and them. It seems too convenient. There's too many people here.
You're saying this in a quiet public, correct?
Yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah.
I think that we are going exploring into a dangerous swamp tomorrow, and we need our rest. And I think that we should at least ingratiate ourselves by doing this job before we get too caught up in fact-finding.
Fair.
Plus,
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Agreed.
I still really want to climb that mountain. And he points to the shadow of the mountain, probably at this point. But
You are truly gifted in the ways of diplomacy, Metolius. I have much I could learn. Now,
it is not
off to go get
easy.
information.
It is not easy to survive in the high forest. It takes a quick word.
or a sharp blade.
And you see Salk kind of stand up now. This is actually maybe the first time you've seen this. And he stands about 6'3", and even though old, he still holds the form of a well-honed soldier.
Impressive.
And he kind of steps down, and you see that on his belt, a long, thin bag that seems to have something pointy but not like sharp in it, that hangs probably about just under a foot off his belt.
I'm gonna go see where this is going.
And well, he walks down from his podium, and standing in front of you all, and goes, "It is growing late, and I would like to know more. Ghrimtuk and anyone else who would like to follow, please. If not, rest well. There's a lot ahead of you tomorrow."
I'm hungry. I
Yeah.
leave.
I like pat Ghrimtuk on the shoulder. I'm like, have fun, man. And
Yeah.
I'm heading to the tavern.
Yeah.
Okay.
What about?
Eluin is going to not accompany Ghrimtuk and head to the tavern.
Let's go. What are you doing?
We know we're loud scouts.
We go drink.
Wow, I just thought someone else would stay with Ghrimtuk, but hey, whatever.
I got it.
I know, Pam.
So as you all
God
leave,
doesn't want to watch that.
heading towards the Howling Stag,
They're gonna tickle him. They're gonna be down
I'm
there
gonna
with
tickle
feathers.
it out of him.
They're gonna be down there with feathers.
dog, tickle torture,
Yeah.
real thing,
Yeah.
is kind of fucked up. There's a documentary on it. Anyways,
Oh God. Of course there is.
I heard that documentary is super weird.
I heard it was too. Thank
It's a
you.
documentary
Validation.
about tickle torturing. Like,
Okay,
of course
okay.
it's super weird.
Off topic. Back to it. Salk first leads you out, Ghrimtuk, and he walks with a very, I wouldn't say elegant, but very defined stride. He is a man on a mission, and now he knows that he is able to enact his form of information gathering. And you see him kind of look back at you and goes, "I hope, sir, that you do not have a weak stomach, as this will not be a pleasant romp."
It's exactly what I was hoping to hear. Just follows.
He kind of looks at you and goes, and kind of nods, and walks down. You follow down this kind of a few flights of stairs leading.
Once Ghrimtuk is making a point to keep his mouth shut.
Sure. Yeah. A few flights of stairs leading you down to what seems to be the basement. As you enter this room, a long corridor of barred cells on either side sits there. There looks as though probably maybe two other people in different cells. One in just like rags, your stereotypical pickpocket-looking character, scruffy, early 20s looking, and just kind of ragged as he sits there and stares wide-eyed at you two. Also being that he doesn't know who you are. Mm-hmm. And you're big and imposing next to the big and imposing lawman, who is the law. I am the law. Law. No, sorry.
We're all gonna have a turn at this. Okay.
Yeah, please.
Your turn, Rain.
To your gesture.
Yes. No, but as you kind of walk past, you also see... This one seems to be more of like... almost a better dressed individual in the jail cell. Next to probably about 2 cells down from the pickpocket. Mm-hmm. Same side. Mm-hmm. And again, his clothes are a little disheveled, but nicer. And it almost seems as though could have been someone who got way too drunk and is in the drunk tank. Mm-hmm. Could have been someone who did a little bit worse, but you're not able to exactly tell. And he kind of looks at you all, and you see him just eyeing you, Ghrimtuk, and kind of sizing you up. Just like, friend or foe? No. And finally...
a little wink.
He kind of looks at you and like... Foe.
Read into that. Read into that however you want.
Hey, man. And at the very back, there seems to be a brazier that is used to heat this entire kind of stone cell. And it does a decent job. It keeps the chill out from their bones, but doesn't make them comfortable by any means. And it's at the very back wall, and to the right of it sits Gare in his cell in shackles. The other two are not. In shackles, though, sitting on his cot. And you see Salk get up to the door, and he stops for a moment and goes, Gare, I've known you for a very long time. And you seemingly have done a lot for this community. And he looks over at him almost with hope in his eyes at first. He looks up at him and goes, It's true. I've done a lot for this town. I've helped many people
Ghrimtuk
grow.
Just gotta lay one hand on the bar and just clench his hand as hard as he can.
Do you want to try to bend it?
If I could, I'm just definitely.
You're not raging or anything.
No. Just putting weight on it.
Okay, you can roll an athletics check.
Just making weight on it.
Sure.
Oh wow.
And that's why.
That would be a 26.
Ooh.
So, I mean, they're really solid, but you see Gare's eyes widen as your gigantic grip surrounds the bar and just ever so slightly turns it. And you see as he almost in that instant stops talking because of that. And Salk kind of looks down and he goes, and yet now that I know what you housed, I question how many. And he goes, what? What do you mean, how many? How many fell to your ill doings, Gare? He kind of looks at you for a moment. His eyes kind of sit back and his brow furrows. He goes, what do you mean? In that small room. How many? And as Gare kind of shakily tumbles back onto his bed, trying to get as far away from this hulking beast of a man, including Ghrimtuk, you see Salk pull that pouch off his belt and throw it into the fire, and as the cloth burns away, you see long, needle-like protrusions start to heat up in the flames. As I turn to you all.
Cut away to
one more
drinking
thing
amendment.
Okay.
that just
Sorry.
dawned on Ghrimtuk,
Yes, Ghrimtuk.
which would be, this is very uncharacteristic for
It's kind of the theme for the day.
Well, this has been a weird fucking day
Sure.
for Ghrimtuk. Salk.
He looks
Give
over
me
at you.
15 minutes. I have an idea that might not involve all of this. I have to run to the tavern. I will be right back.
He kind of looks at you and goes.
Things may not be what we think they are.
He kind of looks at you for a moment and goes, "No more. It takes about that for them to heat up."
Fair. Ghrimtuk is going to...
You see him pull a small stool out from the next to the brazier and sit it right in front of Gare's cell and sits, eyes never moving off of the now cringing and terrified man.
Gangster.
Fuck yeah.
Ghrimtuk is going to run, basically just so he can get there quicker, back to the tavern.
Okay.
Come up to the group and...
Wait,
Or
so you are now running back to the tavern?
to meet up with the group.
Sure. But I will say they will have gotten there first.
Oh, no. I'm not trying to beat them there.
No, I know.
I'm trying to meet them, or meet up with them.
Okay, so that process is happening.
So I'm going to look for Metolius.
Okay.
So whether you guys are in the bar, because I know you guys went to go get drinks. Seems
Yeah.
like pretty easy. Tavern.
Let's roll this back. You
Yeah.
start moving towards the tavern to find
Yes.
Metolius himself.
Fair enough. Because you guys did tell me that's where you were
Yeah.
going, right? Okay,
Yeah, that is true.
Fair,
but
fair.
So,
I have another idea. as
sure.
well.
I'm making sure I just didn't get my head
As
up my
the
ass.
four of you leave the courthouse, where are you going?
As we get outside, I just say, I need to go speak with the children. I will meet you at the tavern.
Okay.
I believe, and head toward the temple of Shantae.
Yeah.
I always think like, Shantae.
I was thinking... Shouty.
I again,
No, shout it.
and I apologize for all
No,
you
it's okay.
aficionados listening in. I have never been able to say that goddess's name right, and I'm pretty sure I'm not now, but it's become Shantae, the goddess of harvest and hearth.
And sass.
And so much sass.
I head there.
Okay.
But we can do that in a minute if you want to go.
Well, I would say, do the rest of you all just head to the tavern?
Well, I'm
Oh,
going to
yes.
say, when Metolius says that, Elduin is going to be like, do you want backup? Do you
They're
want
dangerous
a hand?
kids. I mean, that one tiefling had a knife.
Do you...
I think I can handle some children and an elderly halfling cleric. I'll be quite alright.
I was not insinuating that they would attack you or something. I just meant, do you wish to be accompanied?
If you want. I am merely asking the children about if the children that were taken to the swamp had any particularly prized belongings. I have
I see.
the ability to channel my divine powers to locate objects I am familiar with.
Okay.
Cool. Well, it seems like you might handle that fine. So I will head to the tavern.
And if no one else wants to come, I just depart.
Yep, I head straight for the tavern.
Ditto.
I say, order.
I barely
order
let them
me
finish
an-
talking
order me
before I
an
started
ale.
walking away.
As I walk away,
As
I
we
say,
walk away, Loud
yeah.
Scout pulls out his bottle of brandy and like hands it to Rain,
I take a swig and I hand it back.
and we drink on the way to the tavern.
Yes, we drink all the way
Collectively,
to
I'm
the
getting
tavern.
too old for this shit.
Public drinking, the best part of D&D.
Okay. So you, whoever wants to, goes to the tavern, which is the two of you. And are you going, Elduin, or are you
I'm
following?
going to the tavern.
Okay, so the three of you start moving towards the tavern. Other than drinking and enjoying yourself after that crazy fucking shit, did you want to do anything while you were there?
Yes.
Okay. So then let's...
Head on the dark elf.
We'll get there.
No.
So once you guys are in process, you guys are heading towards the tavern. Metolius breaks off because from the courthouse it's closer to get to the church than the tavern, so he will go first. And then post all of that interaction with Salk, Ghrimtuk will be rushing towards the tavern and meeting the three of you there. Okay, so I would say, Metolius, you make it to the church.
I approach.
You push into the two tall doors, and you see the older woman standing there at the altar, and you see the 4 children kind of head bowed, and they seem to finish a prayer as you walk in. And she seems to be getting ready to ferry them off to bed.
All right. I approach and I say, Lady Goodsong, and I take a deep, respectful bow, and I say, I wonder if I might have a word with the children. You can stay. I want to know, children.
A word with the children? What do you...
Yes. I just want to know about their compatriots that have been taken to the swamp. I had a couple questions.
I believe you could ask. You see she kind of stands there, kind of befuddled, but like she trusts you as far as she knows you. And the tiefling, the oldest of the 4, kind of walks up and, what do you want to know?
I would like to know, did the children that were taken to the swamp, did they have any items that were near and dear to them that you could tell me about and describe, and because it would help me find them if they had some kind of object they would not
he kind of
leave the orphanage without.
He kind of stands there for a second, and you see just, again, not only teen angst, but like concern for the other 3 around him, not really knowing you and not knowing the whole, like, your whole thing. He goes, no, I don't think we have. And you hear a small little voice behind him as the young one that's red-skinned and kind of this golden orange hair kind of chimes in. It's like, but Xyloth, I do have something from Simon. And he goes, Flux, what do you mean you have something from Simon?
Well, it wouldn't even have to be something you had. You could just tell me about an item that they might carry on their person, like a lucky coin or a teddy bear. But if you have something that belongs to...
Would it be better if it was from them or on them?
On them.
On the,
Yes, on them.
I mean, Simon always had that... He always wore around his neck a small little red gemstone. He said it was from his mom before she passed.
That is acceptable. You
So fucking good
know
with
what?
kids. Adequate.
You have done well, underling. No, I'm hesitating because I think I already know the answer to the question, but you don't happen to know what kind of stone it was, do you, child?
He kind of thinks for a second. I think maybe he said it was a ruby. I'm not positive, but
That'll do. Thank you very much.
And he kind
you
of
said
like,
his name was Simon.
yeah,
And how old was Simon?
about my age, and you see him, and he's probably about 7.
A human?
Yeah, he's just...
All right. I will do my best to find your friend Simon and bring him home.
Please do. He kind of like...
Held high.
And you see the small tabaxi and the even smaller halfling kind of come up behind this older brother tiefling, what seems like. And they all kind of chime in behind him and go, please bring him back. We miss Simon a lot.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
Thank you for this information, children. And I depart.
Okay. And Finn kind of walks you out and goes, what is it you plan on doing with that information?
The powers of the gods are vast, and sometimes mine can help me find things if I'm familiar with them.
She kind of chuckles a little bit and goes, you're not the only one in town with the divine behind you.
I'm quite aware.
Be safe.
May the lady watch over you.
And you as well.
I just had a god moment.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pally power.
Halley Power.
Well,
As you...
she's a cleric, I think, but you know.
Yeah.
Most likely. As this scene kind of wraps up, you see the three of you walk in to the tavern. And you see the same older woman sitting behind the bar serving drinks. You do notice that it doesn't seem as packed, as there's been a lot of commotion in town, which has been weird. So there's a lot of chatter as the three of you walk in, but no one seems to make any motion about it, as though well, they're not with the guard, so obviously.
Was it like the whole room all look at them when they walk in kind of situation?
For a moment, but then all go back to their drinks.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah, the owner seems to be sitting behind the bar, and it's like, "Hi, yes, you three. I was told and paid. Your room is covered. So when you decide, you still have the same rooms you had last night." Salk sent over a small parcel of gold to cover your expenses.
That's much appreciated.
That is at least for the room.
Yeah.
Drinks are not on the house.
Speaking of drinks, what is your wine situation?
Oh, not many people ask me about wine. She kind of looks.
Last time.
Pity, it was...
Were you drinking wine the time we were in here before?
No, I think he was drinking ale.
You were drinking ale?
Yeah, because Metolius bought everybody's drinks.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's right.
And as you kind of sidle up to the bar in front of her, you notice that she kind of like she did with Metolius, which I don't even think he brought up to you about it, but she kind of moves up to the bar. You see a bit of flush on her cheeks, and she goes, "Well, for a discerning gentleman like yourself."
I like
Other
her.
one just grins.
Yeah, me too.
I could offer you a bottle for about 10 gold.
A bottle of what?
Oh,
Is it good stuff?
it is. It's actually it's a fine. Let's see. Where's this one from? And she kind of rummages around a little bit. It takes her a second because she hasn't actually. No one's asked her. You see her pull up a bottle and actually blow dust off of it. Oh yes, it's a fine ocean shade, Merlot.
Merlot. I do like a good Merlot. I will take the one.
10 gold, please. And she in that moment sticks in a very fine, almost stiletto implement, sticks it into the cork, and you see her twist very quickly and then pull on it and just.
So do you have a couple of extra glasses?
I think I can get those for you.
Thank you. I'm going to turn to Rain and Gladstone and say, have you had fine wine before?
Not for a while.
Please, come, join me. You may have a glass for this bottle.
Okay. So you all sit down. He puts 3 glasses down in front of you and pours this deep red beverage right down in the glass. Nicer than usual, the mugs you've been drinking out of, but still.
Lot Scout picks it up and just goes for it. Just
Just slow down. I just want to toast and say we've done a good work today.
I was gonna say, while he goes back to the table and starts pouring our wine, I'll buy me and Loud Scout shots first. Which we
Awesome.
proceed to then do at the bar and then head back to the table.
Sweet.
She kind of looks at you, and as you order the shot, she gives you a wink and go, "I understand a good spirit as well." And she kind of pours something looks nice and hearty. It just looks like a nice whiskey of some kind. And smooth as hell, tasty as hell. It goes down good, and a nice warmness to your stomach by the end of it.
Excellent.
As you walk over and start to seemingly chug a very fine wine. Not enjoying a single note, though finding it very finding it very dry. With hints of different things that you are not paying attention to.
Everyone's going to
Hints of glug.
sip with gusto, just lots of
Lots of swirling your glass.
swirling my glass,
smelling
looking
it
at it,
first.
offer a smell to Teak.
You're like if someone mixed an arcane spellcaster with a frat boy. That's what you always wear the same clothes. You sleep underneath things. You don't care what you drink.
Just as long as you drink. And you see the normal fare, the 4 seemingly, helpers at the bar seem to be traveling around and paying the patron's mind here and there. But the 3 of you toast. And the night continues as, at this point, Ghrimtuk barrels into the bar.
Oh, just walk up and be like, "Hey guys, have you seen Metolius? I have an idea."
Oh, Metolius, he went to go speak with the orphans.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go find him. Wait, where are they?
The temple of
Oh, thanks. All right.
Yeah, that's one.
It's the same one. Just gonna turn around.
Metolius, at this moment, roll a dexterity saving throw.
I know where this is going.
Natural 20.
Checks out.
As you walk to the door, you see Ghrimtuk reach for the door handle as though if he wasn't paying attention, he would have slammed it in your face because you were getting so close, but you just nicely open the door for him and just step back out of his way as he... Actually, now, in turn, Ghrimtuk, roll a dexterity saving throw for me, please.
Awesome. 18.
Okay. You trip for just a moment, but catch yourself and find Metolius having open the door for you.
Oh, nice. Weird. Hey, I was just coming to find you. So we're about to get started. But something jumped into my mind, and I wanted to run it by you. What if the same way that Dadel was being bewitched, that Gare is as well? And before we get started, maybe you want to do that thing that you did to Dadel, just to find out. Because, don't get me wrong, I love having a good time. I'm a big fan of what I do, but I don't particularly like to do it to people who don't deserve it.
Fair, that's definitely not the definition of justice, I would say. But
it's better safe than sorry.
Also, that woman was a vacant shell of herself.
We were all given different visions. None of them were the same. We don't know what effect they have on us.
Well, she didn't even see it.
Can I hear this conversation?
Roll a perception check.
It's outside.
You're in the doorway, I saw.
Roll a perception check.
17.
The problem with it is there's a lot of chatter around you, even if not loud. You catch a few words here and there, but you're unable to parse out the entire conversation.
All right. No, I can't make out the conversation.
Okay.
Carry on.
If you don't think it's worthwhile, I just wanted to run it by you first, because we're gonna go and get at it anyways.
Well, can I roll an insight check on Gary Vaz, even though I'm not there with him? Can I get
Retroactive.
Well, yeah, I kind of meant for the whole Gary Vaz experience. Can I,
roll just a straight,
recollect?
just a straight intelligence check.
All right.
Just search your memory.
Yeah, just no saving throw, no anything, just flat intelligence. Add your modifier.
Oh, God. 3. So no.
It's just again. It's hard to tell. You don't know if this kind of effect affects different people differently.
All right. I kind of roll my eyes. Did I feel when I'm doing the lay on hands? Do I know if I'm successful?
You just
obviously she came out of her trance, so
you notice the glazed look on her eyes fade.
Okay.
So you saw a difference in her.
But did I feel anything through my connection? Because if it affects everyone, if it affects different people differently,
it doesn't seem that it wasn't. It very much didn't seem it was you touching her, but it more seemed like it was you pumping the healing into her that did the trick.
Okay.
I was trying to figure out exactly how to.
God damn it, we almost did it, guys.
We almost did it.
All right.
Throw fist.
You bring up a good point, Ghrimtuk, as Metolius slightly rolls his eyes. But you're right. You're right. This, in the interest of justice, let's go find out. And I'll go with Ghrimtuk back to the
Okay.
house.
So you two leave, and you guys find your...
I run in and slam. Hopefully, do you guys order me an ale I called for?
Nope.
No.
God damn it.
And you walk in. You walk in to look for that ale, and you see the barkeep sitting there. And it's like, oh, hello, Metolius. You definitely gave her your name.
Definitely, that's fine. I just put coin on the counter equal to an ale, and I say, "May I have an ale, please?"
Seconds later, she slides it right up to you.
I'll bring the cut back. I leave the tavern with the ale.
She kind of like tries to stop you for a moment, and just
no.
nah. She knows you'll be back.
Yeah.
Wait, do I see this happening?
You do.
Alright, I'll just yell a bit. I'll pay for the glass if he doesn't come back. It's fine.
So I walk with
It's the most bro move you've done this whole game.
Yeah.
So you walk with Ghrimtuk, you make it back,
while drinking.
Sure. By the time you get there, you finished your ale.
Yeah, I assume so.
Yeah. You make it down to the basement where you see Salk has not moved.
Nice.
Gare sits there, almost curled up now, knees to chest on his cot, staring back at the imposing figure, as he also seems to throw glances your way as you walk down, clattering, trying to be quiet by any means.
Yeah.
You walk over and Salk's, without leaving his, moving his gaze, he goes, "You brought a second. Hello, Metolius. What are you doing here?"
In the interest of justice and fairness, I just wanted to do something before you all proceeded. May I enter? Is it unlocked?
It is not yet. What did you want to do?
I was able to restore Daedal from her state with some of my holy power. I just want to be sure that the statue, that Gare did all this, and he was maybe not. He was compelled by the statue to do this. If he was enchanted the whole time, it is not clear that it is his fault. Basically, is what I'm
The
saying.
statue bewitched Daedal without her touching it. We want to be sure that it didn't do the same to this man who once in this community was someone who helped.
You see him...
saying this in front of him?
You're not there.
Also true. He sighs for a moment and it's like, fine.
Don't care.
And he kind of unlocks the gate to the jail cell and goes, "Please, heal this man. See if he will help.
We'll see about that.
Don't worry. He'll need it after I'm done if you don't."
You
Indeed.
can have your way with him. As
Phrasing. No, he doesn't actually. Sorry.
As I approach, I sit down and look at this.
And you see him kind of like
towering form.
try to kind of curl back into himself farther away from you as you sit down on his cot, I'm guessing, next to him.
No, I kind of like squat down in front
Okay.
of him.
And he just kind of like, "What do you want?"
I just look him dead in the eye and say, "I'm going into that swamp to find Simon tomorrow and the other children you took there. For your sake, you better hope I bring them back alive." And then I reach out and touch his forehead, his greasy little forehead, and I pump 5 points of lay on hands to cure a disease.
Okay. He kind of, as you pump that just healing energy into him, he kind of looks at you, questioning, and it feels warm to the touch once it happens over a person. And he kind of looks at you and goes, "What was that supposed to do?"
Have a good night, Metolius.
Yeah, I leave.
He-
Before I
as
leave,
he-
I stand up and I look down at him and I say, "Remember what I said."
Let's hope they find your body afterwards too.
Shall we?
I chuckle and leave.
All right. Shall we resume? And That's it?
And I would say the night continues.
Yeah, I don't know if we need to go through the roleplay the whole.
As the night progresses, and Metolius, you make it back to the bar, screams can be heard echoing across the town, but no guard nor villager moves to find out their origin, moves to stop them. Ghrimtuk, you see a few things as we kind of run through this. You see what those spikes can do to soft flesh. It's not pretty, and it's not pleasant, but impressive, I would say.
A learning moment.
The first 3, he laughs. Wide-eyed, tears streaming down his face. The second set of 3, 6 now, dug deep into his skin, sizzling as they cool. He kind of stops and looks down at them and starts reaching down and pulls one out. And he looks at Salk, and with it in his hand, he shoves it straight through one cheek and out the other, and you see steam waft out of his mouth.
That's so metal.
Yup.
Alright.
And then you see Salk pull the robes off of his shoulders to expose his chest, and underneath you see a lot of things. Scars, including runic tattoos, carved into his flesh, all set just underneath where any exposed skin would be. Set enough that he could go about his day, but practice whatever these rituals were at night. And then he looks at you, and he kind of gets a glimpse for just a moment, and he looks wide-eyed at you, Ghrimtuk, watching on as Salk does his job, and does it well. And he goes, he's seen you. And then you see his tongue stick out from his mouth as his teeth sever it. And it falls limply, bouncing to the ground.
How did he do that with the bar in his mouth?
He used it as a brace.
Oh, okay, cool. That's even more metal.
And under the gurgling cackle, you hear the blood just starts to pour out as Salk stands and runs for a medic. You watch the light.
There's no way I can do a medicine check to try to keep him alive.
Boo. Boo.
You could try to cauterize the wound. There are still some of these pins sitting in the thing.
I will give it a shot.
Okay, roll a medicine check. Salk has now run off to try to get someone who can heal.
If I force-fed him a potion, would that close the wound?
Probably.
Let's do that instead. Because I need answers on this.
Okay.
Hold on. What'd you say?
Nothing, I'm not there.
Yeah, alright. Oh, God, I don't want to waste a potion on this asshole. Maybe I will just go for a medical check.
Okay, roll a medicine check.
Wow, 16.
So you run over to the brazier, pull out this spike. It burns slightly on your flesh, which just kind of drives you forward. And as you cauterize the open wound of a tongue, he screams and laughs and then passes out from the just general pain. And you have saved his life. And that is where we're ending this session.
This city is fucked up.
Wow.
All right.
Okay.
Well done.
Hello, beautiful people. This is Aaron Zelder, and I play Elduin Lunari on the Swordcast Adventures. I hope you have enjoyed listening to us. You can download us on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play Music, Libsyn, Podbean, and YouTube. You can find us on the swordcastadventures.com and now on Patreon as well, at patreon.com/theswordcast. There we have some new rewards for you loyal fans out there who want to become patrons. Also, we are on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, Twitch TV, and whatever the kids are doing these days. Anyways, thank you very much for listening, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.